Now, the charges have been laid with the Gauteng Legislature Integrity Commissioner. Lesufi says the party is also accusing him and his department of refusing Afrikaner learners to be taught in Afrikaans, and they are also denying Afrikaner schools to be strictly white. Now, the MEC has been pushing for learners from other races to be included in Afrikaans-only medium schools. Lesufi has dismissed the complaints as frivolous and wasting of time. My colleague Desiree Chauke spoke to the FF Plus and the Gauteng Education Department to find out more. Watch.
Our concern is clearly what stands in the Constitution of South Africa, and that we want to uphold that. And if I may shortly just refer to Article 29, paragraph 2 of the Constitution, that clearly says everyone has the right to receive education in the official language or languages of their choice in the public educational institutions where that education is reasonably practicable. That's what we want to see happen. But
the Constitution is not in question here. It's inclusivity. Not
according to us. You see, I served in the Portfolio Committee for Education for years, and also in the Infrastructure Developing Portfolio Committee. And the reason why I'm referring to this is if you don't build enough schools, then you will have insufficient space for learners to go to school. And what you need to do then is you need to utilize space that's available to accommodate them. And according to us, this is what the MEC is
Why are you taking this to court? What are your chances of victory?
Look, this is not in court. We're taking it to the legislatures. We're using the in-house possibilities.
So,
first.
Steve, what was the MEC referring to when he was talking about the charges that he's facing?
Look, in that affidavit, they are raising a lot of, number of questions. They are saying we want to abolish Afrikaans. And there's nowhere where MEC said want to abolish Afrikaans. They are saying our actions are promoting, actually probably abolishing Afrikaans and replacing it with English. We are saying we are for accessibility. We are against exclusivity. Because what they are saying each and every learner has a right to be taught in their language.
Yeah.
But that is not saying other learners cannot be accommodated, because a right of education, it applies to all of us.
But just clarification here, this MEC is talking about charges. Yaku is saying that it's just using internal processes. What exactly is happening?
No, it's charges in the sense that they want MEC to be charged by the Office of the Integrity.
Or the action has not been instituted?
No. They deposed an affidavit, saying to the Office of the Integrity Officer or Commissioner in the Legislature. Remember, MEC is the politician, is sworn in, so they want him to be charged, as per the legislative, prescripts, as per the Gauteng Legislature. So that's what they want the office to do.
Yaku, what is...
we are saying, look, and they are raising a number of issues there. He went to infrastructure, because that's their point of departure. They are saying, why is MEC not building enough schools? Yes. MEC said we've built over 44 schools.
Gauteng is actually the leading province in terms of building new schools.
In the townships. So they are saying, no, that's not enough, because your people, when we attended so many public hearings, that's what they're saying. They're saying your people must be taught where they reside. That's the insinuation. But we're saying, when you look at the spatial planning, which even the Constitutional Court said to us, they said the spatial planning was utilized as per conforming to the Group Areas Act or the laws that are outlawed, which means all African-speaking people will be residing here. Yeah. All other languages will be residing somewhere else. So
Jacob, does it mean that
a
student, an Afrikaans language student, should only go to an Afrikaans school, or can they be integrated into a school that teaches Afrikaans and other languages?
Well, technically, they could be integrated, but what's happening in practice and what's happened over the years is once you've opened a single medium language school, regardless whether it's Afrikaans or Xhosa or whatever it is, for English-speaking learners, very soon they become more in numbers than the other language, and then there are demands that you should be taught in that in English alone. And that's the problem that we've got. He's quite correct to say that there's a lot of schools being built, but what we are concerned about is there's a huge in-migration of people into the Gauteng province, and we say that the Gauteng government is not planning for that. There's a huge communication gap between the departments of education and infrastructure and development. So the department is not building enough schools, and what's happening now is they are creating a situation where a single medium school is being flooded by English learners, and then it becomes English.
It remains a divisive conversation. Jaco Mulder is with the Freedom Front Plus, and Steve Mabona is with the Department of Education in Gauteng. Mr. Mabona, what is the MEC hoping to do about this matter going forward?
Look, for us it's quite clear. I mean, even if MEC were not to be there, as the department we have planned, already regulations have been published. You know, the public has participated. We have received quite a sizable number of inputs, people, you know, guiding us on what is it that we need to do. It's quite clear. We are saying we can't have a situation whereby an Afrikaans or any single medium will dominate in an area where demographics have changed. They suggest that that school must be accessible. Because
so you're going to use demographics to make your determinations in terms of which language is used in a particular school.
But if numbers are dwindling and that, you know, institution does not justify them having empty classes, because, you know, the danger is when you have empty classes, then you suggest to change them or refurbish them into something else. We have tuck shops, we have dance rooms, we have any other thing that you might call, because you don't want other people to come in there. Because we are not saying we want to abolish Afrikaans. We are saying we introduce parallel medium. Parallel medium, it says they will still continue be taught in Afrikaans. Those teachers will be there and the children will be there. But we introduce English classes. And our argument is that if our learners can be together in other areas, I mean, when you go to restaurants, when you go anywhere, children play together, and today these children, they don't even know where we come from as a country. And they are saying, Freedom Front Plus, they are saying now we are creating a possible revolt by English or by Afrikaans learners to revolt against English. I mean, where would you hear that? I mean, is that not an incitement? In their affidavit, that's what they are saying, and it's quite wrong.
This conversation can go either way. Sometimes you have Afrikaans students. Is there a chance that Afrikaans will be introduced into English schools? I don't know if that conversation holds, though, because Afrikaans already exists.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Afrikaans is there. We are talking about a medium of instruction, if one way to put it that way.
Yeah.
In that school, they want to teach everything in Afrikaans. It will be Afrikaans educators. Everything will be Afrikaans. They speak in Afrikaans. We are saying if the numbers dictate that you must introduce English in those schools.
In those schools.
Why are you harboring in saying
Mr.
they're going to change
do you not
the
think
culture
that
and you don't
that
want to
approach
accommodate
excludes speakers of other languages who would like to attend that school in that area, but because it's an Afrikaans school, are then on the outside?
Well, what Steve is saying here, with all respect, sounds very nice in theory.
Yeah.
And I agree with it, in theory. But in practice, we've got other challenges. There's not enough teachers trained to be able to educate learners in Afrikaans and English. I mean, you can look at the numbers there. And as I've stated previously...
I don't understand what you mean, though, because continuously there is an outcry by trained teachers that they're not finding jobs. So when you say there aren't enough teachers trained, what do you base that on?
He's actually referring to dual
medium.
Dual. No, we're not talking about dual here. Dual, it means in the very same school, those teachers must, in a class, must teach in Afrikaans and in English. And we are not talking about that here. We are saying we want to introduce English in those schools. So an English class will be taught by an educator who's proficient in English, will be talking English in that class, will be teaching in English. If it's an Afrikaans period, then they will, an Afrikaans teacher will come and teach Afrikaans if it's offered in that class, in that English class. Because there are English-speaking people who are willing to do Afrikaans as a subject. So that's what we are saying. So we are saying,
You've obviously
schools.
looked at your chances of victory in this conversation.
Yes,
What
of
are
course.
they?
Okay, I think our chances is good because we've got good motives on this. It's not about race, it's not about the exclusion of anybody, it's about the protection of mother tongue education, and in this
Why
instance
is there a
Afrikaans-
need to protect a language in a democratic country
Well, because the Constitution allows for
that
that.
recognizes that language as an official language?
It's actually simple. You can recognize it on paper, but in practice, it's being phased out.
Mr. Mabona, is the department breaking the law?
No, we are not breaking the law. And we are saying, the Constitution is very clear, there's no paramount language here. It's not saying Afrikaans exclusively, you must have those schools, they will continue in that fashion. We are not saying Afrikaans will be abolished. We are saying those schools, they will have to introduce English classes because there's a need, there's a demand in those areas. There's no way that Afrikaans-speaking people will be exclusively staying in an area. I stay in an Afrikaans, area where majority of people is Afrikaans but there are English-speaking people who stay there. So what does it mean? It means that they must not access a school because a school is purely Afrikaans.
Is this conversation, which could now be seen to be going political, undermining the objectives of educating our society?
I believe it is, because education is not supposed to be about politics. It's about the education of a child, and we should have
There's
more
a
choices.
massive need for skills in South Africa.
Skills. We should have more choices. If anyone chooses to put his child into a Afrikaans or English or Xhosa single medium school, they should be allowed to that.
We don't have such. We don't have a single Xhosa medium.
Okay,
We don't
but the
have, in the
Constitution
African
provides
languages,
for that.
there's nothing like single medium. So we must not mistake the two. We don't have that. And I'm not sure when we're going to have that. Because most of the English-speaking people, they will do their languages as subjects.
Yeah.
But there's no way, what are you going to, if we were to do isiZulu purely as a single of medium, what are you going to do with that? Because when you look at the country itself, we must also go into the institution of higher learning. What are we going to do with other languages? Because the space is so saturated with English. I mean,
So,
we need to
Mr.
be
Melder,
practical
when you
here.
take your kids through school, it's with the intention of preparing them for work life.
That's right.
What is the importance of being taught in Afrikaans in terms of
Okay.
your vision for what you want to become in the
You
future?
know what, this information is actually being researched. Mother tongue education is important for a child. In a Afrikaans medium school, for instance, English
Where
is not
does that
excluded.
research come from?
In the whole education world and industry, it's published for everyone to
Because
see.
South Africa is characterized by diversity,
I
and
know.
mother tongue education becomes a completely different conversation, doesn't it?
It does, but remember here, what I said is we're referring to the Constitution because this is what it's all about. And it clearly states
Yeah.
here that even
But the
single
very same
medium
constitution
institutions...
does not say you must exclude other learners.
But
Because
how do
the
you-
constitution says a child has a right to be educated. Now, if as the public institution,
Gentlemen,
they are there available, we
unfortunately,
need to
we're gonna
access
have
them.
The
to
Constitution allows for
conclude this
single medium
conversation.
education.
And thank you so much for coming through. Mr. Steve Mabona is a spokesperson for the Department of Education in Gauteng, and Mr. Yaku Mulder is with the Freedom Front Plus in Gauteng. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
coming
Fiona.
through.
Thank you.